Thank you, Nata and Alera. I guess you guys are having a very great time in the studio. Let me give you a sense of what is happening. Sun has come out in his full glory and is shining on us. We pray that the favor shines on us today in this election. So let's give you a sense of what is happening just here. It seems to be some level of organization we're seeing in INEC's conduct of this election. You see the queue, there is actually a line. This is one of perhaps the most organized voting centers in Osogbo that we're showing. So you see the voters behind the line, one after the other. They are set with their permanent voter card, and the queue is here, is 3 polling points here. That's one queue. In this polling center, there's 3 polling points. So this is another queue which represents another polling point. So one after the other they're coming, and this is another queue here representing another polling point. If we take a look at what you see that is happening on the sideline, you can see that some of the voters checking for their names on the voter register. That is the first process. So when you arrive here, you go check the voting register. When you get your name on the voting register, then you can come here to check for real whether you are able to vote. So let's give you a sense of what we have been talking about since morning. This is a voter, it's cast the ballot. I will show you in a moment how this process is going and how this is happening altogether. Nelta Alero, let's get a sense now. So when you come and you find out that your name is on the voter register, you will come here and check, get accredited, and this is a card reader machine. So you must have this. This is a permanent voter card for this voter. And so when that is, so it's just said something now. It's prompted and it said it's confirmed. So that is a prompt. And so when that is done, it goes over there to the other ad hoc official, gets the ballot paper, and when that is done, they come to this cubicle. But let me show you what has been interesting and some of the major issues that have faced this election, and it's the issue of vote buying. So INEC will say, usually you find people voting in this area, but that is not happening. The reason is that INEC is saying you cannot vote when people can see you, when people can have a sense of who you are voting for. So the other people that are not voting are on the other side. And so if you are going to vote in this election, you come to this other side where the process is going to be shielded. You cast your ballot and you will come right here and drop it. Then you are free to go. Or you want to say to know what the outcome of the exercise is. So that's what has been happening generally. So let's give you a practical sense of how this is happening. I'll give you some natural sound now. Verification failed. So they will try that again. Check it out. Verification failed. So this is perhaps a process that is been going on. Let's get an understanding from some other people who have been monitoring this election. We have some lawyers and election monitor, election observer groups who are going to be talking to us on what this exercise and this process has been so far in this election. It's been an interesting one. INEC has been experimenting and trying to pilot some of the new things they are introducing into this election. So I'll give you a sense of what other people feel about this process and this exercise and what we should be expecting all throughout today. Well, joining me right about now are 2 lawyers, one senior advocate, one senior advocate of election monitoring and issues of constitution. That's the title I'm going to give it to him this afternoon. Clement Nwanko is the convener of the Civil Society's Election Situation Room. And we have senior advocate of Nigeria, Tawo Tawo. Is a leader of the NBA Election Monitoring and Observation Group. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming on the program today. Let's start with you, Mr. Nwanko. Give us a sense of what your group and what you're hearing and what exactly has been happening so far today.
Well, one positive news is the fact that elections on the polls started quite early this morning. INEC says it achieved 100% early turnout. We recorded slightly less than 100%, but very impressive the beginning of the polls that election officials are in different polling units. We are in Osun right here, and which is a densely populated voting area. The turnout is looking very good, but across the state as well, the numbers are looking good, and we hope that at the end of the day, there will be a very good turnout. There are still reports of vote buying going on this time, maybe even maybe more discreetly, but certainly going on. We have a little bit of report of disruptions in movements. It looks like the soldiers, not the policemen, the soldiers who are manning the different checking points are not being very, are not able to allow people to move as freely as they should. And certainly observers have presented reports of being disrupted by the soldiers. We think they need to reduce their overzealousness and allow for free flow of people to participate in the elections.
Let's look at within the frame of law, Senior Advocate Tawo. What have you observed as INEC being able to act within the frame of the law, and what also can you say about the security agencies, your observation from the NBA point of view?
Well, I started my own observation from Ilesha up to Shobo, and so far I would say there is some form of conformity. There have been early election materials were delivered on time from our own investigations and observations. And I think so far there is some orderliness. So far, there's some orderliness. The turnout is good in most of the areas we visited. Yes, one or two places we discovered the card readers were not working, but technicians are on ground trying to sort that out. And I must commend the enlightenment, because I discovered that before the voting, the INEC officials, as the presiding officers and the rest, they try to enlighten the voters on what to do. I think this is a good start, a good start. For security, the point is that most of the security people at the stations are not armed. So at least we'll say there is no form of intimidation, except where the materials are kept or were being distributed. That's where we only saw the armed security men. So far, I think there is some good progress, appreciable progress, I must say.
Okay, then, Mr. Nwanko, I'll put you on the spot right now. So if INEC says this election is going to be a test case for the 2019 election, is there anything that should gladden the heart of an average Nigerian going forward into the 2019 election? Is less than 150 days.
Well, and today is only a few hours into voting, so it's still too early to say this is an indication of how things would go. It's yet unfolding. We get to the critical point, which is collation. That becomes also really important. We want to see how that manifests and how INEC is able to discharge responsibilities. But as we speak now, a few hours into polling day today, election officials arrived on time in most places. The turnout is looking good. A little bit of overzealousness on the part of soldiers, and we keep making the point that soldiers should really be removed away from elections, maybe as backup somewhere they can't be seen, but not really present in elections. They need to be kept away. So far, it's looking good, but it's still several months away. It's still about 4 to 5 months to the general elections. This is a one-state election. In a general election, you're not going to be able to mobilize 40,000 policemen to a particular state for an election, it will be restricted. The number of policemen in this country is still about 300 and something thousand. That's not going to be able to provide this same kind of coverage for a general election. So I think that while this may be a test case in terms of INEC's logistics and ability to conduct a small state election, it doesn't necessarily reflect in the general elections. And INEC needs to know what lessons to take from this and how to interpret that into the larger context of a Nigeria general election.
If you, for example, look at Ekiti election and compare with this one, any improvement from your point of view?
Again, only a few hours into polling, I think that the turnout is higher. Well, I mean Oshogbo, but the reports we're getting across the state is it's a good turnout so far, and it's calm. Ekiti was calm. Collation, we haven't gotten there yet, and then of course we need to see how the rest of the day unfolds. But I think we can't make any comparisons yet until we see the end of polling.
All right. We'll take a short break, and when we come back, we'll still be asking the question. You all want to know what this issue of vote buying, how is it going to be curbed in this part of town and in other parts of Osun State in this election is a major issue for INEC and for the nation. We'll tell you more about that. Senior Advocate Mr. Clement Nwako will be talking to us more when we return.